A huge new ride is coming to the UK, and I really wasn't expecting it to be what it is. And also the park that it's going to. A coaster at Alton Towers had to close for a small period of time for a very strange reason, and nothing else has really happened this past week in theme parks. Welcome back to another episode. Another week has passed, and this time not much has really happened. But the small minority of those things that I am going to talk about are quite funny and very unexpected, so be sure to watch the entirety of this short edition of the best series on YouTube. And there's probably not a single person that calls this series that. If you do want to enjoy this video and you are new around here, then please be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're getting ever so close to 80,000 subscribers now, which is crazy. Thank you so much. So if you want to help towards that goal, it would be greatly appreciated. So then, let's get this very short episode of this past week in theme parks out the way, shall we? Because fingers crossed, next week there's a bit more to report on. First of all, if you didn't know, Alton Towers earlier this week had a very strange problem with one of their rides. And no, I'm not talking about that small fire on Wicker Man, because as much as that is a pretty major event, that happened last week, not now. But to be fair, a little update about that, there's even more scaffolding now. There's Thorpe as well. It's not looking good because the ride is still not open, and I don't know when it's going to be. So, I'm crying so much right now. You can see the waterfalls coming out of my eyes. But the small problem I was talking about before was actually on the Smiler. And sometimes a ride has to be closed for general maintenance, or maybe just some guest being sick. But on this occasion, the ride had to close because of a swarm of bees over the brake run.
We do apologise for this inconvenience and thank you for your patience. Our gardening team are en route.
I mean, there's literally a famous film called The Wicker Man, and there is a scene where one of them screams, "Not the bees." It should have been Wicker Man in my opinion. But the swarm was pictured over the brake run, as I said, not that swarm. That's not even funny. The bees were flying around at the end of the ride, so imagine doing the whole ride, enjoying it, getting to those final two inversions, which are very clunky and rough, and then suddenly you're being attacked by a swarm of bees. What a fun ride that would be. But obviously the park did take the action and closed the ride for a little bit, and then reopened it very shortly after that problem was averted. But yeah, much like the Big Bob fire, it happened in this past week, so I have to talk about it. Another thing, if you want another Towers update, the Scarefest containers that I spoke about in my previous video, the ones that were supposed to be up in Darkest Depths Place, they are now reportedly on park and they are going up on the site. Awesome, what an update that was. And also, Thorpe Park have introduced some EV charging ports at the front of their car park. What a time to be alive. This series is thriving right now. But the main reason I wanted to make this video is one piece of news that has come out in the UK very, very recently. And it is regarding a massive new ride that should be coming to a UK theme park very soon. I was not expecting this at all. Pretty much an article was released by Ride Rater, shout out to you guys, and in it they spoke about a document that had been publicly released and now leaked. I still don't get how stuff like that leaks. Like, how do you find that? Do you just sit there on a page waiting for it to come out for your entire life? I mean, fair play for finding it, I guess. But in this article and the document, it lists the whole way through that this new ride is coming to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, or Pleasure Beach Resort if you want to call it that instead. And they are going to be getting an Intamin gyro swing. If you don't know what one of those are, it's one of these massive swing things. Or if you want to go more towards our UK demographic, then it is Maelstrom at Drayton Manor. That's a smaller version, but I really hope we get the Loki size. But yeah, these things are as crazy as they look. If they do get one of these and it is bigger than Maelstrom, that could potentially be the best flat ride in the UK. The article they posted is quite long, but there is one main bit that you can sort of read and know exactly what's happening. In an apparent loan agreement with NatWest Bank, the document states that the asset will be an Intamin gyro swing located at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. Notice how they used Blackpool Pleasure Beach and not Pleasure Beach Resort? The old name lives on. What we can grasp from that, of course, with a NatWest loan being given out, is that they're in debt, and also that this could be a very tall ride for Blackpool. Of course, they had their tallest roller coaster in the UK record ripped from them, so maybe like what was on that truck outside Hyperia's second opening day, they are trying to take back some sort of record and go taller. It won't go as tall as Hyperia or the big one, but maybe it could be known as the tallest ride. Tallest swing ride in the UK. They'd be clinging onto a record with that, but oh well. But in the article and in general, if you do some research, Intamin do offer 2 different variants of gyro swing. There's a 32-seater, 23-meter swing height one, and a 40-seater, 42-meter swing height variant. Now, Drayton Manor's Maelstrom, of course, that is a smaller version. That's not the 42-meter high one. It's the 23-meter one. And that still looks very imposing. So if Blackpool can somehow fit this 42-meter tall swing ride in that place, wherever it's going, this would be a big hit for the park. And knowing how good Loki is at Leesburg, the same sort of model, that is literally my favourite flat ride in the world. So I think my favourite flat ride in the world would then move to Blackpool Pleasure Beach. That is not where I expected it to be, but it's closer to home. But what I want to discuss mostly is something that a lot of people have been speculating about and sort of discussing amongst themselves. And that is, where on earth is this thing going to go? The Pleasure Beach has barely any space as it is. There's small areas that would never really fit that in or could be used as much better things. And a lot of areas are just covered in coaster track. So what's the plan here? Well, I have mapped out 2 different locations that could easily fit this gyro swing model in it. One of these areas, which I think is the least likely, is the area of Grand Prix. Of course, as I said earlier, they did shut that very recently, and there has been images of it being removed. So what's to say they aren't trying to sort of map out a location and remove it to put this ride in? But with that being said, the only place they could put it on the Grand Prix circuit is that massive helix section where it goes down in a circle and sort of goes past each other and uses the alternate layouts to go around in that direction. I was just waffling there, but it sounded like an English language essay sentence. But there's so many pathways, and there's even Avalanche nearby and the sort of station building for the Grand Prix anyway. I have no idea if they could even fit that in there. So that is why that is my least likely placement. The most likely, I think, will happen is definitely where PlayStation The Ride, or Ice Blast as we call it, is. That ride has been closed since the start of the season. They said that they were going to do some maintenance work on it and have it up at some point this year. Amanda Thompson insisted that it would be back open and that we were all wrong with our speculation about it leaving. But it wouldn't surprise me considering the long amount of maintenance it's now had. I think they're definitely going to get rid of Ice Blast. You don't close a ride for that long in a season and just do nothing with it. But as much as a shot tower is a tiny little piece of structure, the area around it with all the queue line area and all the grass and stuff, that is a massive area that could easily fit one of these swings in. I think it would fit perfectly there. But considering last week they said that they were going to build a new hotel and that was all they were really planning, to hear they've now got a loan for that Intamin gyro swing is very exciting news indeed. And I'm glad they're getting a new ride because they needed one. They really did. What are your thoughts on this? Leave it in the comments below and make sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want to see a video about that Wicker Man fire I said about, click here. If you're worried about the Big Bob man setting on fire, it wasn't good, but it's okay. I explain all here. Are you gone yet?